Anthem is a multiplayer looter-shooter developed by BioWare and published by Electronic Arts. From what I've seen, that's enough to keep many away from the game, and after Battlefront 2, Battlefield 5, and Mass Effect Andromeda, I can't blame them. For BioWare fans in particular, this game must come off as a massive insult. After irrevocably sullying the Mass Effect name, BioWare have now gone and made a trend-riding game so far removed from their RPG roots that it might as well be made by a completely different developer. I figure that most of my audience falls into that camp, which again is completely reasonable, so I went ahead and played the free-to-all demo so you didn't have to. Please bear in mind that these impressions are not from the perspective of someone who has kept up to date with every ounce of information revealed about the game. In fact, I knew almost nothing about it before playing. The first thing I noticed about Anthem, and the thing that is still sticking with me now, is how poorly it runs. I'm not trying to be Digital Foundry or anything, but the performance here was bad to the point where it was genuinely affecting the playability of the game. I had to use low to medium settings just to make things acceptable, and CPU usage was still extremely high. So high that I was unable to stream this game with CPU encoding, even on the fastest preset. While it doesn't run nearly as badly, I also experienced this in Battlefield 5, but not Battlefield 1, which leads me to believe that there's something up with this version of the Frostbite engine. The most surprising thing is that despite its hunger for power, it doesn't even look that good, especially if you go back and compare it to the E3 gameplay reveal.
Bam, looking good. Nice, you've got a mortar equipped.
Yeah, I got it on the weekend. You lead the way, I'll follow.
Every corner.
I'm not sure we want to use all our supplies on this guy.
Deceptive marketing tactics aside, this is a looter-shooter, so I don't mind if it doesn't look like a PS4 exclusive, but when it doesn't look that good and runs poorly, something is clearly very wrong. While we're on the subject of technical stuff, I should also mention that audio was frequently cutting out and was often out of sync with the gameplay. Additionally, the UI kind of sucks, there's no text chat, and FOV cannot be adjusted. So we're off to a pretty bad start, but how is the game itself? First off, the comparisons between this and Destiny are ill-founded in my opinion. Of course, one is first person and the other third, but on a deeper level, Anthem seems to be a far more ability-centric game than Destiny, so I'd compare it more to Warframe, as the javelins and frames seem to be interchangeable concepts. I initially did not like the gameplay at all. The abilities felt weak, killing enemies was completely unsatisfying, the controls seemed clunky, and whether it's due to the poor performance or some kind of acceleration, mouse movement did not feel as smooth as it should. This was all with the first javelin you're given, Ranger. Things began to change a bit when I got the Storm suit, the abilities hit harder with much better feedback, and movement was far more enjoyable. Of course, it doesn't fix the paper-like enemies, finicky controls, or disorienting underwater sections, but the fact that changing a suit could alter my impression of the gameplay is a very good thing. But that's all for naught if the content isn't there to back it up, and based on this demo, I don't have any reason to believe that it will. I got to play 2 or 3 story missions and then 1 stronghold. The story missions were fly around to an area, kill some enemies, inspect an item, and then fly to the next to do it all over again until you kill a boss. It's brain-dead stuff, and honestly, I expected that. Destiny, a game that I think is in a very good place right now, still struggles with creating interesting story missions after 4 years, but that's not what defines the game. It's about the endgame experience, raids, exotics, triumphs. From what I've read, Anthem's endgame, at launch anyway, consists of legendary contracts and strongholds. Legendary contracts were not in the demo, but there was one stronghold. It plays like an MMO dungeon, about 25 minutes long, a lot of rank-and-file enemy slaughter, and then a big spongy boss at the end. Despite having less mechanics than even a Destiny strike, there's nothing wrong with this type of content, but when it's the only endgame content, it becomes a problem. Destiny 1, an extremely content-light game, launched with 5 strike missions and a raid. Anthem is launching with 3 of these strongholds and including some difficulty settings. The game seems like it needs another year of development, both to improve its technical aspects and to create more thoughtful content. Playing as Storm, I saw glimpses of a half-decent game, but the reality is that the enemies aren't fun to fight, the content is bland, and the depth likely isn't there. Right now, Anthem doesn't have an identity. It might get there someday, but if BF5's post-launch support is anything to go by, I won't hold my breath. Well, that's all I've got. Short demo, short video. If you played the demo, let me know what you thought, and if you're into live streams, I'd appreciate a follow over on Twitch, link in the description. Until next time, thanks for watching.